or pain, come quickly and abide, or my life is vain. I need thee, oh I need thee, well, every hour I need thee. Oh bless me now, my Savior, I come to thee.
Triple C family from the second happiest place on earth.
Hope you guys are having a magical Sunday.
I needed you to take my place, needed you to cleanse my heart, take away my disgrace. I needed you like I need the air to breathe. Oh, and just at the right time, Lord, you came for me. I needed you to rescue me, needed you to give yourself so I could be redeemed. Lord, I needed a love like yours, a love that reaches on down, welcomes, comforts, cures, so you can have my life, oh, and all my heart. Lord, you can have my love, it's yours, it's yours. I needed you to change my mind. Every thought was wrong, every sight was blind. Lord, I needed you to save me from myself. You're the only one, there is no one else. So you can have my life, oh, and all my heart. Lord, you can have my love. It's yours, it's yours. I needed you to care for me, and you changed my name, called me family. Lord, I needed you to bear my wrong, needed you to call me your own, tell me I belong, so you can have my life, oh, and all my heart. Lord, you can have my love, it's yours, it's yours. So you can have my life, oh, and all my heart. Oh, you can have my love, it's yours, it's yours.
The saints should never be dismayed, nor sink in hopeless fear. shake me. Whatever troubles may appear, my Savior will be near. Oh, proofs of power and grace divine that meet us in His word. May every deep felt care of mine be trusted with the Lord. He'll never leave me, He won't forsake me. The Lord's my helper, this world can't shake me. Whatever troubles may appear, my Savior will be near. Wait for His seasonable aid, and though it tarry, wait. The promise may be long delayed, but it cannot come too late. He'll never leave me, He won't forsake me. The Lord's my helper, this world can't shake me. Whatever troubles may appear, my Savior will be near. He will be near. He will be near.
So I want to tell y'all something. I'm going to do a magic trick for you, and you're going to think that was amazing. Like, how did he do that? It was so incredible. But I just want you to know, it was not incredible. It was simple. I know you probably are not going to be able to figure out how I did it, but if I told you, you would go, that was so simple. So, like, this is a quarter. It's a quarter from. Oh, it has the state of Kentucky on the back. So same, just so you know, it's the same quarter. And I just am going to, okay, ready? How did he do that? Like, that was amazing, but it really wasn't. It wasn't all that amazing. How did he do that? Okay, it wasn't really amazing. It was really simple. I did just put a quarter that fell on the floor in my mouth, but anyway, but you know, you would think that that was really incredible, but it's really, really simple because I like simple. I don't like when things are complicated, and some people like complicated. You know, when Betty Crocker first invented the instant cake mix, they figured out a recipe in the laboratory where all you had to add was a cup and a half of water. And people didn't believe it. They were like, and they couldn't sell them because there's no way you can make a cake mix and all you add is a cup and a half of water. So they actually had to take the eggs out of the recipe and change the entire recipe of the cake mix, the formula of the cake mix, and they said add a cup and a half of water and 2 eggs. And people are like, okay, I can believe that, you know, as long as it's just a little bit more complicated than that. So when you think about praying, like a lot of times, like Jesus said in the Lord's Prayer in Luke chapter 11 and in Matthew chapter 6, he said, give us this day our daily bread. Like, we need bread, just give it to me, you know? So It's super simple, but even like in praying, people have a tendency to make it very complicated. There was a guy was looking up books on how to pray in Amazon, and he found 92 books, and they were mostly about your technique, like technique in prayer, about how to change your technique to get more power. I mean, it sounds like they're talking about your golf swing or something like that, but people think like there are certain formulas that you have to use, ACTS, acts, adoration, confession, thanksgiving, supplication. Even though if you look in the Psalms, like a boatload of the Psalms have that completely flip-flopped, or like certain language that you have to use. I was shocked when I became a Christian when I was 20, the first time I ever heard somebody pray who didn't say thee and thou, because it seemed like super disrespectful to me. But actually, you know, a lot of languages have like the you pronoun. They have a form that is a more formal one that you would use with people that you're trying to show them a lot of respect. And then there would be a more familiar one that you would use with family and friends. Like in Spanish, they'll say tú, and then they'll say usted, that you use with people that you want to keep a little bit of distance and a little bit of respect. English used to have two forms for you and thee and thou. And you was the formal form, and thee was the familiar form. So, hey, you know, anyway. But Jesus said, you know, in Luke chapter 11, he said, you know, you need bread. Just ask your dad for bread. He tells a story after that about dads and kids. And it's like, you're a kid, and if you believe in Jesus, God is your dad. And if you want bread, just ask him for a bread. He said, you're not going to give, like, you guys are like moms and dads, and, you know, maybe you're not like awesome at it, Jesus said, but if your kids need something and ask you for something, if they ask you for bread, you're not going to give them a rock, like, you know, just chew on this. You know what I mean? And he said, and God is like amazing at being a dad. So you're the kid, he's the dad. He tells a story about you're a friend. Jesus is your friend. And so, like, if you need bread, maybe people show up at your house and you don't have enough to feed them, and you go to your neighbor's house and he's your buddy, you know, and you just knock on the door. You might have to knock a little bit. And it says that he, you know, even if he wakes up at night, it's like, Frank, what do you need? And he's just like, I need some bread. Well, you're not going to give him a rock. Like, you're not going to drop a rock out of the second floor just on his head, you know? So it's just simple. You're the kid, he's the dad. You're a friend, Jesus, God the Son, is your friend. You are helpless, he is helpful. You are needy, he is caring. You're on your own, he's made you his own. And I mean, even bread, like one of my greatest heroes in all of my life was a man named Hudson Taylor, who went to be a missionary in China in 1853, I think, when he was 20. And he belonged to a missionary, the London Missionary Society, but a lot of, I don't know, it seemed like a lot of their fundraising and everything was kind of a mess, and he just didn't really feel like it was right to be, and also asking people for money and all that stuff. And he said, my dad in heaven, I'm going to serve him. He knows I get hungry every day and I need to eat every day. He'll take care of me. And that's all he did, was he went to China, asked God to provide everything he needed to live just through praying alone. And then he wound up starting like a missionary society of his own. And in order to join it, you had to agree that you wouldn't do any fundraising, you wouldn't ask anybody for money, you wouldn't do fundraising banquets or ask for pledges or anything. All you would do was pray to your dad that he would give you the money that you needed to eat and to live, and go to China. And by the time he died, they had established Works for Jesus in every one of the provinces of China, and also in Tibet, and they had 800 missionaries out there, and all of them lived that way, just depending on their dad without asking anybody for money. And you think, well, what if I need other stuff? Like, what if I need stuff that you can't like wrap and hand it to me? You know what I mean? Like, I need bread for my body, but I also need stuff like peace, sometimes, especially in these anxious days. Well, Paul talks about a peace that passes under all understanding that God would give you. I need joy, kind of depressed these days. Well, Romans chapter 14 talks about joy in the Holy Spirit. And Romans chapter 15, verse 13 says, you can ask the God of all hope to fill you with joy and peace. You can just ask him for these things. There was a time, this must have been, how many years ago? Was it 20 years ago? I think that, Lee, his dad was just going through a really difficult crisis. And it was really, really difficult. And even for Lee, it was like one of the most difficult things of his life. And it kind of all happened on a Monday, if I remember right. And Patsy and I were going to go down there. It was in, Lee and Christy were in Cookville at the time. And we were going to go just to kind of be with them on Thursday. But it was just really tumultuous. And then on Wednesday, I remember, because in Oak Ridge, for those of you that don't live in Oak Ridge, on the first Wednesday of the month or something like that, at 12 o'clock noon, there's a siren that goes off for whatever reason. So I was at the Civic Center and I was going jogging and the siren went off. So it was 12 o'clock on Wednesday. And I was just asking God for Lee, that God would give him peace, like just fill his heart with peace. So I was talking to him last night and I said, so how's it going? He said, strangely enough today, for the first time in this whole situation, my heart was just filled with peace. And I said, well, what time was it? And he said, well, it was about 11 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, well, dang, I guess it wasn't me because I was praying for you at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock Eastern time, and you were on Central time. It was just awesome. When Jesus said, give us our daily bread, the word daily, there's a word in the New Testament for daily, which is the word every time when they want to say like daily. This is not that word. This is a Greek word that's only used 2 times in the New Testament. In Matthew chapter 6 and in the Lord's Prayer, give us our daily bread. And in Luke chapter 11, the Lord's Prayer, give us our daily bread. And that word is used no other place that anybody has ever discovered in any ancient Greek literature anywhere. And some people think it's just a word that Jesus kind of invented for that prayer. And when biblical scholars try to tell you what it means, I get the impression that all of them are guessing and that nobody really knows. But when you break the word down, I guess, it's a word that means according to, and another word that means, it's the word ousios, that means like your being or your very nature. And some people think it kind of means, give me the bread I need according to my nature, according to the person that I am. So the word bread, in the New Testament, it always means bread. But when Jesus, like, for example, in the Gospel of John, when he talks about bread, he almost always means bread and something more. Like bread, but bread from heaven. Bread, but living bread. But bread, but the bread of life. Kind of like, and I think it's probably fair to say when we say, give us our daily bread, I'm saying, give me bread for my body. But there's also a bread that I need to kind of survive for my soul or for my heart, according to the person that I am. Just what I need to make it on the outside, but also on the inside. For example, I need love. I need love. I need to know that I'm loved. I just, as a person, I need to know that God loves me. I might need that a little bit more than other people do, but I just kind of do. I need to know that I haven't messed this up. And, I have a lot of guilt for stuff that I've done. I need to know that that's gone. But also just shame as a person, that I'm just kind of an inferior person or whatever. I need to know that I'm wanted. Not only forgiven, but also wanted. And loved and lovable. And I need God to give that to me. And Paul said in Ephesians chapter 3, because Jesus died and rose again, I can ask God for that. I could be strengthened with power in my inner person, Christ dwelling in my heart through faith, that I could be rooted and grounded in love. I might be able to grasp with all the saints the length, width, height, and depth of the love of Christ. Know this love that passes all understanding, to be filled up with all the fullness of God. I can ask God to help me feel it. I need love. I need help. I'm not very good at life. I mean, I very easily run into problems that I don't know how to solve them because I'm not very good at solving stuff. And even if I know how to solve it, if it involves other people, I can't change them. I don't have that ability. And I need help out of situations. I need help out of problems. I just need kind of daily help because I'm kind of pitiful that way. And I need hope. I need to know that I'm not going to mess this up so bad that God's just going to say, I'm kind of done. Like, what do you want from me? I need to know that that day is never going to happen and that he is always going to be with me. And Jesus said, I'll always be with you. I'm never going to give up on you. Like, I super need that. I need food for my body and I need love, help, and hope. And it's simple. All I have to do is ask him. I mean, I'm the kid. God the Father's my dad. I'm alone, but Almighty God the Son's my friend. I'm helpless, but he's helpful. I'm needy, but he's caring. I'm on my own, but he's made me his own. I can just ask him for what I need. It's just super simple. I love simple. If it gets complicated, it's because I've either gotten confused about what my basic needs actually are and who I actually am. And that makes me confused about who he is and what he's offering me. Okay, so in Mark chapter 8, in a boat, Jesus with his closest friends, he was trying to have a simple conversation with them that got very complicated, way too complicated. He was telling his guys, I need you to be careful, be aware of, watch out for the leaven, the yeast of the Pharisees. So just kind of a very simple picture. Yeast is an invisible microbe that goes into bread dough, and they just start to eat the bread dough because they like the sugar. They shouldn't eat it because it makes them gassy. So the little bubbles, air bubbles in bread is really microbe tootlets. You know where they go tooting all through the bread. Sometimes if you see a big one, you think, boy, if the microbes had a football team, that was a left tackle right there. But he basically said there's a certain attitude that, like yeast, if it gets into your heart, it will just expand and kind of stink the whole thing up. And what he was talking about was, I'm kind of a little bit guessing here, but the Pharisees, they were the ones who made the rules for all the 12 tribes of Israel, and they enforced the rules. They were the ones who decided who was in, who was out, who was acceptable, who was unacceptable, who was clean, and who was polluted. And that gave them a lot of importance and a lot of power, and they wound up making a lot of money that way. And they felt that being important and being powerful was a need that they have, which it's not a need that any heart has. It's not a basic ingredient in the bread of the heart. Usually people that are powerful and important and who are good at it are people who not only don't feel like they need it, they often don't really want it. But they felt like they needed it. And then Jesus comes along and he's letting anyone in who wants to be in. He is accepting anyone who wants to be accepted by him. He was making a way that no matter how polluted people were, that they could be clean. And that was undermining the basis of their importance and power in the society. And they thought of Jesus as a threat. And he was saying to his guys, watch out for that attitude right there, feeling like you need You need love, you need help, you need hope, you don't need importance, and you don't need power. And that little attitude had already started to stink up their little hearts a little bit. There was one point, it was kind of passive aggressive, where two of Jesus's friends came to him, and like this was kind of like the way they thought about prayer. And they said, Lord, do you promise you'll do whatever we ask you? And Jesus was like, it depends. And you're like, what does it depend on? What do you think it depends on? I mean, it depends on what they were going to ask, But they were like, we really want to be close to you, and we always like to be near you. So when you take over the world and you're sitting on your throne, could we sit on the left and the right? I mean, could we have shotgun? Could I have shotgun? We want to be in important places. So that was already in their heart a little bit. So then when they're in this boat with Jesus, and he says, beware, watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees, they thought he's being passive aggressive with us. We forgot to bring bread, and now we're in trouble. When you think you're somebody that you're not, and when you think you need things that you really don't, it's easy for you to believe that Jesus thinks things that he doesn't think. So, anyway, before this conversation, what had just happened was this. Well, in the chapter before. Because one thing, like if a person does start to get complicated in their life, because they feel that they need things that they're not getting, and as a consequence, they think that Jesus thinks things that he's not thinking and holding out on them or whatever. He forces you, he's always done this to me, is forcing me to get more in touch with who I really am and what I really need. So there was a woman who had come to Jesus in the chapter right before this conversation, and she did have an urgent need. She had a daughter who was like oppressed. It was a terrible situation, but she said to Jesus, Son of David, I really need you to help me. And it's like, whoa, okay, whoa. That is not who you are. Like, Son of David was a messianic title. And that was a title that people could use of him who belonged to the 12 tribes of Israel. She did not. She was a Canaanite. She belonged to the 7 tribes of the Canaanites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgasites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Hittites, and the Canaanites. And she was basically saying, as a daughter of the covenant, which she was not, what I need is for you to fulfill the promises of the covenant to me, which would not have been good because like the promises that God had made to the 12 tribes was usually not so great for the 7 tribes because it was meaning that he was going to give their land to them so that the Messiah could come into the world. So anyway, Jesus didn't speak to her. And then he said something. He said, it's not right to give the children's food on the table to the puppies. And it's like, what are you saying? Are you saying like, so the 12 tribes of Israel, they're like your family, but we, the 12 tribes of the Canaanites, we're like dogs or something? And she said, yes, but you said puppy. And that puppy is in that house under the table begging food. And you don't have a puppy in your house unless you wanted that puppy to be a pet. And if that's what you're saying I am saying you wanted me. Somebody wanted me in that house. And puppies need food, and pets need food. But you know what else pets need? Pets need love. Pets need petted on the head. And pets need help. Puppies need help. They need you to let them in. They need you to let them out. They need you to put water on the floor when they don't have any water. And pets need hope. They need to know you're not going to take them to the kennel and just abandon them. They need to know that when they chase a rabbit so far that they're lost, that you're going to come and get them. If you're saying I'm a puppy, okay, but I need love, help, and hope. And she said, I believe you are Almighty God. She called him Lord. The first time anyone had used that word in 8 chapters in the Gospel of Mark. And she said, I think that you are God. And if I need bread, it's because you're the God of grain, and you're the God of rain, and you're the God of sun. And if I need love, I believe you're the God of love. I believe you're the God of help. I believe you're the God that would never give up on someone like me. I admit that I need these things. I admit I need love, hope, help. But I believe you are just the one I need. And he was. Well, after he healed her daughter, he didn't go back to the 12 tribes, the land of the 12 tribes. He went further into the land of the 7 tribes of the Canaanites. And somehow or another, they knew what she knew, that we need help, but he's the one that will help us. We need love. He's just the one we need. And they started bringing all of their problems, all of their troubled people, all of their sick people to Jesus, just thousands of the Canaanites. So many that it became an unplanned for kind of camp out that lasted like 3 days. Well, they didn't have enough food, so Jesus, he did the exact same thing that he had done for the 12 tribes of Israel in the land of the 7 tribes of the Canaanites, and he took what little bread that they had and made enough bread for everybody. So right after this, when Jesus' friends say, oh, he's just mad at us because we didn't bring bread, and he knew that he thought that. And he said, guys, when I made bread, and they had made a big point of this, when I made bread for 5,000 plus people from the 12 tribes of Israel, how many baskets were left over? And they said 12. And when I just made bread for the 4,000 plus of the 7 tribes of the Canaanites, how many baskets were left over? And they said 7. And he said, don't you get it? When you get in touch with your basic need, you're always going to find he's just the one for you. Don't you need something? Don't you need it? Don't you need love right now? Like, don't you need to know that you love? Don't you have somebody that maybe doesn't like you or whatever, and you don't really know why, and it makes you feel like crud? Don't you need to know that you're loved and wanted? Don't you have a situation that you can't solve, and it's a mess, and you need help? Isn't anybody else but me in a situation where I don't really know why this happened? I don't really know why this is happening, but I need hope. I need to know that somebody knows. I need to know that something good is going to come out of this. I don't even have to know. I just need to know that God knows. Don't you need love, help, and hope? It's simple. Ask him. Ask him. I need bread. I need love. I need help. I need hope. So a couple of years ago, I was doing a lot of research about the history of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and just 12-step programs. I just think they're so amazing, the way people are so honest and about their basic needs. They're forced to be honest about their basic needs, because of where they are in their life or whatever. And I was learning about studying a lot about the history of it. And like for a person to get to a point where they say, because they are alcoholics, and in AA, they always say that alcoholics are people that have an allergy to alcohol. Like once they start drinking, they can't stop, And so then you get to a point where the first step is you have to say, I am powerless over alcohol, and my life has become unmanageable. And they have to admit that. That's the truth about themselves. And then they have to admit a truth about a basic need. Step 2 is, I need a power greater than myself to restore me to sanity. And then step 3, they say, I need to be ready to turn my life and will over to God as I understand him. And a lot of times people who believe in Jesus say, I think that's kind of weak. Like, that's weak as God as I understand him. What's that supposed to mean? Blah, blah, blah. Why do they say it like that? Well, there's a reason why they say it like that. Alcoholics Anonymous started in the 1920s in New York City. It really kind of started, one of the places where it really started was an Episcopalian church in New York City that was a biblically conservative Episcopalian church. But the 1920s were a time when there was a person named Billy Sunday. I read a person explaining it this way. He said to him, this was what happened. That Billy Sunday was an evangelist, and he would go all over America, and he was world famous. But he had a thing where he would talk about drunks and how God is going to judge all the drunks. And if you're a drunk, and the year of Jubilee in hell was the year that beer was invented. And he said, beer has a place, all right. The right place is in hell, and stuff like that. So then in AA, when they would talk to people about turning their life and will over to Jesus, because they believed in him. But people said, I can't do that because Billy Sunday says that Jesus hates me. And that Jesus hates people like me. And so they got to a point where they had to say, why don't you imagine that there could be a God that could love someone like you? Why don't you imagine that there would be a God that would help someone like you? A God that would never give up on someone like you. Imagine God could be that way. And turn your life and will over to him. And they would. And to tell you the truth, thousands of people down through the years, walking the 12 steps, have found Jesus to be. Because once they got in touch with that, a God who would love them, a God who would help them, a God who gave his blood to buy them, and who's never going to let them go. They came face to face, eventually, with Jesus and found he was there for me the whole time.
Makes me sing, stand up tall. It makes me that you want me, though you know it all. It's so good and true. After everything, after who I was, a whole new start. You declare me clean, wash me in your blood, a brand new heart. And I'll never get over, never get over, never get over you. Lord, I'm astonished by your loving promise. I'll never get over you. It fills me up with gratitude. It makes me strong that I have your love and that I know you. Oh, that I belong. Yes, it calms my fears, answers all my doubt, and it makes me bold. You will lead me here grace as my hope and light till my race is run. Then I will see your face with my own two eyes and give this heart you won. And I'll never get over, never get over, never get over you. Lord, I'm astonished by your loving promise. I'll never get over you. And I'll never get over, never get over, never get over you. Lord, I'm astonished by your loving promise. I'll never get over you.
As I